Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. If you're regular here, you know I review many photographic, audio and video related products. Well, today we're looking at a lens I've owned for quite a long time. I actually thought I had reviewed it, but I've looked back through my back catalogue on my channel and I can't find a review on this particular lens. So I thought I might as well have a look at it. And the lens we're looking at is the Nikon Z-mount 50mm f1.8s lens. And here it is. It's a beautifully made lens, it's a great construction, and being that it's 50mm is a great optic for a lot of situations. It's a great portrait lens. Now I know traditionally 85mm or 105mm would be your normal portrait lenses. It throws a background out of focus nicely if you're shooting at f1.8 or even 2 or 2.8. You get that lovely bokeh. And it's great for portraits, so your noses don't look big and so on and so forth. Well, a 50mm lens is equally as good. It's a great standard lens. I mean, the Nifty 50 has been around for a long time, and you know it's always been sold as the standard lens that most people buy when they first buy a camera. Now this is the same with a Nikon Z mount. The Nifty 50 isn't really priced at an entry-level sort of price. It's quite expensive for what it is. Certainly more expensive than the Canon or the Sony kind of equivalents, but the image quality is outstanding. Now I'm going to go through quickly some of the images that I've took some test images on my computer, but what I would say is take a look at the images on my Flickr page. You'll get a much better indication of how good this lens is, as opposed to looking at them on this video because of YouTube's compression. So I'll put a link in the description of this video to my Flickr page so you can take a look at them there. But you know, while we're doing this video, take a look at them on this video as well. So here we go. It's the Nifty 50mm lens. The only switch on it is the automatic manual focus switch on the side. You'll find no other switches on the lens whatsoever. A really big, gorgeous focus ring. Now, I don't use manual focus, I use autofocus because that's just simpler for me. And I find the autofocus motor in this lens is fantastic. It really is snappy and it responds really well, which you would probably expect considering the price of the lens. And the bokeh is great. It's a 9-bladed, round-bladed diaphragm, so you get that lovely bokeh because of the 9 blades that it has. So that is great. Filter thread size 67mm filter thread size, 62mm filter thread size on the front there. So filters are not going to be incredibly expensive. I would probably suggest fitting on a UV filter or maybe a CL filter, you know, but certainly a standard UV filter to protect it from any damage would be useful. I've got it at the moment fitted to my Nikon Z5 because it's a full frame lens. It's a 50mm lens on a full frame body. But if you do fit it to something like the Nikon Z50, I do use it on my Z50 and I use it on my ZFC. But if you use it on something like the Z50, which is here, you would get a 1.5 crop factor on that. So again, great on the Z50 because you can use it in crop factor mode. So 1.5 crop, that'd be about 75mm. So it really is that lovely short telephoto lens. So it is a great portrait lens when you're using it on something like an APS-C body. Now, admittedly, on the Z5, Z6, Z6 II and what have you, you can set those cameras to crop sensor mode. So you've got that longer range, that longer telephoto range, but you're going to lose image quality because of the it's only using the cropped part of a sensor. So on my Z6, and my Z5, in photography I would use it in full frame mode, but on the ZFC and the Z50 I use it for video, so it doesn't matter to me that it crops it in tighter. I say it doesn't matter as long as you don't want to get that wide angle of view, but it's great as a being cropped in a bit tighter because that bokeh is even better. It's that lovely creamy bokeh in the background, and I use it for video. I use it a lot for video because it is such a good video lens, as well as a great photography lens. So we'll take a look at some of the images that I've got on my computer here. I'm using Lightroom today. I quite often use Luminar AI, Luminar 4. I will put a link in the description where you can download trial versions of Luminar. It's a great software. It might be worth investing in that software as well, as you don't have the recurring monthly payment, the subscription that you have with Lightroom. But for today I've got them in Lightroom, and you can see they're lovely images. Now these are just sample images and nothing clever. And they were taken a while ago. As I say, I've had this lens quite a long time. For example, this image was shot at f5, and you still get that lovely sharpness once the computer loads the image. Beautiful sharpness, and you got that lovely, even at f5, you got a lovely depth between the foreground and the background. But when you do shoot to f1.8, again, that's shot at f5, everything's crisp, everything's sharp, colours are great, even edge to edge, sharpness and definition edge to edge is great. But when you do shoot at f1.8, let's find one shot at f1.8, so that's shot at f1.8. Look how lovely the out of focus area is on that image. It's really, really nice. And the center is really sharp. And it depends on where you actually set the focus point as to what is going to be in focus. Obviously, I've set the center of a rose to be in focus there. But you can see how it's, you know, the out of focus area is soft. It's not harsh. It's not noisy, you know. It's really, really nice. And you can see again the sharpness here, and that's shot at f2, well f2.5 actually, and you can see it's, you know, created such a nice image, lovely sharp image. You know, you can see they're, you know, really, really nice. I'm not going to go into any detail with these images because it's a bit pointless. This was taken on a really bad day, but again, that's shot at f3.5 at what, 640th of a second. Lovely clarity, lovely detail in the tree. The sharpness is just beautiful. Colours are lovely. Yeah, overall, such a nice lens, such a nice lens. I can highly recommend it. As I said earlier, I use it a lot for video because I do like to, for a close-up shot, I do like to get a nice background, a nice out of focus background. Now, at the moment, because the camera's quite close to me, I'm filming the close-up shot that you see here with my Nikon ZFC, and that's got the Nikon 40mm lens. There will be a review. I put a link up here somewhere to the 40mm. Now, I found because I'm a little bit closer, but I needed a slightly wider lens, and that's a 40mm on a crop sensor body. So it should be giving that nice creamy bokeh, you know, a nice background, a nice separation between me and the background. That should be really nice. So as for Nikon ZFC with the 40mm, I can't use the 50mm at this distance because it would just be a little bit too tight. Although saying that, on a full frame body it might not be. I will swap out these cameras so you can actually see what this 50mm lens is like on a full frame body for video purposes. So I'll do that in just a moment, but just for now you can see the close-up shots on my Nikon ZFC with the 40mm lens on, and then I've got the wide shot here with my Sony A6600, and that's got the Sigma 18-50 lens fitted to it. And I've got another angle over here which is my Nikon Z6 with the 24mm Viltrox fitted to it, and then I've got close-up shots here being picked up by my Sony ZV-1 close-up shots of the Nikon 50mm. So there we go. I think I did mention on the side, the only switch on the side of the lens is the automatic manual focus switch. I use it on auto all the time, but that's the only switch on the lens you'll find on the lens. But you know, great lens. So what we're going to do now, I think, is, you know, you ought to see what the video quality with this lens is like, and I think you'll find it's absolutely superb, although it is going to be just that, you know, that little bit tighter, even in full frame mode. I'm going to use the Z5. I set it up into my A10 Mini Pro. I'll take out the ZFC. So let's now swap out the ZFC for the Z5 with the 50mm lens. What you're looking at now is being filmed on my Nikon Z5 with a 50mm f1.8 lens fitted to it. And as you can see, it's a lovely lens, even great for video. Now it is a little bit tight. Well, actually it's not too bad, to be fair. And maybe I need a little bit more headroom, but you know, overall it's really nice. You can see the background is nicely out of focus. Well, not too much so that you don't know what's on in the background. You can see the reels from my cine transfer machine in the back there, and the corner of my computer, but it's nicely out of focus, so it's not distracting from what you're looking at. Although I'm not so sure you do want to be looking at me, but there you go. So that is the Nikon Z50mm fitted to my Z5. That is in well, that's actually in crop sensor mode, you see, because it's on the Z5. The Z5 doesn't film in 4K in full frame mode. It crops it to the APS-C crop. So what you're looking at is the APS-C crop. I am actually going to switch it over to HD, so you can actually see what it really does look like in HD mode, as opposed to 4K on the Z5. If I put it on my Z6, which is filming over here, then that wouldn't crop, because there is no crop in 4K on the Z6, but there is on the Z5. And this is why I said earlier, it doesn't worry me that I use it on a crop sensor body, be it the ZFC, the Z50, or even the Z5, because I quite like it in crop sensor mode when you're using it for video. But I wouldn't want to use it in crop sensor mode, as I said earlier, for taking photographs because of a drop in resolution. Unless you're photographing with something like the Z7 or the Z9, which has got, you know, a higher pixel count. But if you're using something like the Z6, Z6 II, Z5, whatever, then I wouldn't. But I would for video because the crop doesn't worry me. Now, let's switch it over to HD so you can actually see what the full width looks like, you know, on the Z5. So I've switched over to HD on the Z5, so it's using the full width of a sensor. It's actually now using the full frame part of a sensor. Exactly what it would do on the Z6 or the Z7, because those cameras don't crop when you're shooting in 4K. That's why I've switched it over to HD on the Z5. But it's great. You've still got a lovely out of focus background if you shoot at f1.8, and it produces a lovely separation between myself and the background. I prefer it just to be a little bit tighter, not quite as wide as this, and hence the reason why I love using the 40mm lens on my ZFC, because it does, although it's a full frame lens, it does crop it, and it's not such a tight crop as it was that you saw earlier using this lens. But there we go. That's the Nikon Z50mm f1.8 lens. Do remember to take a look at the images on my Flickr page. They are better than what you'll see here on the computer that I'm showing you here. So yeah, take a look at these images. They're all up on my Flickr page. Take a look at these images. That would be fantastic. And you know, if you do like the content of these videos, please subscribe. That's really, really helpful. Really appreciate that. And leave comments in the comments section. That helps me grow the channel. I do read every comment. I'm not the best at replying to everyone, but I do read every comment. So thanks very much for watching. Stay tuned for more videos relating to video and photography and some audio. And stay tuned for more videos. Cheers for now. Bye.